Hey everybody, Rob here with WePayOffDebt.ca. Hope you're doing well. Coming at you today with a video that is kind of special. So one of my top videos, top number of views over the past many years has been this one about the question of should you buy or lease a car in Canada. And I went through some basic paradigm ideas about why you should or should not, in fact should not, lease a vehicle in Canada. And I'll put a link to that below. You can check it out. But what I wanted to do was actually show the numbers. I actually went through and ran some numbers for a lease to be able to show you where the dollar amount goes and why it's such a bad idea, why it is the most expensive way to operate a vehicle. It's glorified renting is what you're doing. So definitely I want to share this video with you, and please, I want to know if you have any feedback on this, if you have confusion or questions, or you think I'm just full of it. Go ahead, comment below. I'm a big boy, I can take it. Okay, I want to look into the details. I want to find the truth on this. This is what I've discovered. I want to share it with you. So if you think I'm wrong, please educate me. Okay, take some time to educate me, take some time to educate yourself, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks so much. Have a good one. All right, let's talk about the effective rate on a lease. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put together a spreadsheet where I put in the starting value of the car with tax. In other words, what you would buy it for as you were buying a new car. The lease payment with tax. And what I've done here is just calculate the out-of-pocket. So multiply lease payment times number of years of the lease times 12. Right? And so what we get is in this example, we get a $30,000 car, $500 a month for 3 years, and therefore we have $18,000 out of pocket. Now, what it comes down to, what the big issue is what's the value of the car at the end of that 3 years? If, for instance, the value of the car at the end of that 3 years is $12,000, then we have an effective rate of 0%. Check out where this comes from. Effective rate of 0% would mean that over those 3 years, you paid $18,000, and that was exactly the depreciation in the car. It would be equivalent to financing the car at $30,000, paying $500 a month on that financing. Over those 3 years, you're out of pocket $18,000, and then sell the car for what it's worth, which is $12,000, and you have nothing left to your name, right? You are zeroed out on the transaction. You paid $500 a month for 3 years, and all of that money went to the exact depreciation of the car. Okay, so what's left then is what you sell the car for, which is $12,000. Now, if you sold it for $12,001, then where's that $1 go? Right? That's the key. If you sell it for $1 more, so here I've got, if you sold it for $12,064, then what the effective interest rate comes out to is 0.1%. Now let's jump a little bit down here. A 1% interest rate. A 1% interest rate would be if I sold the car for $12,648. Now remember, I'm still out $18,000 on a $30,000 car. If at the end, though, it's worth $12,648, then I paid off more than I needed to. So what do I mean by this effective rate thing? If I had financed the car for $30,000 with a $500 a month payment for 3 years at 1%, then after I've shelled out $18,000 for those 3 years, I'd still owe $12,648 exactly on the loan. You see how that works? I would still owe, and so therefore if I sold the car for exactly what it was exactly worth $12,648, I would be back to zero. And that's how I'm getting this idea of an effective rate with a lease. It's that the question of how much is left on the loan after these 3 years, if I had loaned it, if I had actually borrowed the money, financed the money instead, and that better equal the value of the car, because then I sell the car at the end and I'm zeroed out exactly as I would be at the end of a lease. Now, if we have an effective rate of 5%, then you can see here that the end value would be $15,467. In other words, I spent $18,000 on a $30,000 car. And at the end of that financing period, at the end of those 3 years, I still owe $15,467. And then if the car was worth exactly that, then I would sell the car for exactly that and pay off the loan. All right, so here I am at Toyota.ca. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and get a lease. Actually figure out, price a lease and get all the details and we'll see if we can figure out what the effective rate on this lease might be. Here we go. Now I'm going to make sure to go up at the top here and click on Include Taxes, Levies, Freight, and PDI. I'm going to include everything that goes along with the car. Okay? All right, so we're down at the bottom here now, and I've got the details of the lease. And you can see the MSRP is identical for all three, whether I was paying cash, financing, or leasing. The difference comes into, well, we got a couple things that are different here. GST and PST. When you finance or you pay cash, you got to pay the GST and PST. When you lease, you don't, because you pay GST and PST on the payment. Okay, and so because of that, only because of that, it looks like only because of that, the total on the lease is slightly lower than the others. And so we come down and we look at the term in months. Okay, it's a 60-month lease. 60 months is 5 years. And it has an interest rate of 7.19%. So that's what they're using to calculate their payments on this. They're calculating using a 7.19% rate. But remember, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the effective rate. Of course, there's restrictions. There's annual kilometers, $20,000. And you can see that there's the GST and PST on your payment. And right now it's set to weekly. I don't want weekly. I want monthly. So... all right, so now what I need to do is I need to change this from a weekly to a monthly rate. So I'm going to go up here, click on the little calculator, brings down the more details, and I can change to a lease of monthly. And so what we get, we have a due on delivery of $570 up front, and we have lease payments, 60 payments of $501.85, meaning a rate of 7.19%. Now, how are they taking into account that 7.19%? What matters is, again, as we talked about, is the end value of the car. And that's really what matters, is what's the car going to be worth, in this case, 5 years from now, 60 months from now. And so what they use, they have to come up with a number. They have to choose a value of that car. And they're going to do that based on quite a few things. But here it is. Look, zoom in a bit, make it a bit bigger. MSRP, accessories, levies, and freight. Lease end value, $10,729.30. This is the number they've chosen as the end value of the vehicle. All right, so here we are with the leasing details of this 2022 Camry. What we've got is $500 a month payment for 60 months. And they got due on delivery $570. And this total lease price comes from the MSRP, basic accessory. I think I added a block heater, and then levies, freight, and PDI and fees, and that becomes $30,000. Now, taxes is not included there, and taxes is not included there because they don't include taxes on the lease dollar amount like that. If I jump over to finance, all they do is they take that same amount and they add, in my case, 12% tax, 5% GST, 7% PST because I'm in Manitoba, and so the finance total price is $33,778.44. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like I'm financing this thing. I'm going to take that financed dollar amount, $33,778.44, and I'm going to put that in the total car value with tax, $33,778.44. I'm going to take out of that the due on delivery, the $570.85, how much I'll actually pay right off the bat, and so the total amount will be financed will be $33,207.59. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the lease payment as if I'm financing it. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, so pretend I'm financing it, but make the same payment that the lease is. Okay, and so my lease payment up here, $501.85, and what I want to do is I want to explore what happens with that. Okay, so my only assumption here, is that at the end of this process, I get to sell the car for whatever it's worth. I get instantly, the dealer will buy it back from me for exactly what it's worth and make that exactly what I owe on the car at the time. Okay? Because that's really how a lease works, right? That's what you're buying when you're buying a lease, is you're getting them to guarantee you they will buy it back. And in order to do that, they add in stipulations like you can only drive it so much, you got to keep up with wear and tear and things like this. Okay? So here we go. So first thing to notice is how much you're actually paying for this lease. If I had financed it and put that $570 down, my total out of pocket is $501 for 5 years. And so this number is just that times 12. And that is over $30,000. So first off, you should notice how big of a scam this is, that over the 5 years of this lease, you almost pay the entire value of the car. It's $3,000 off from the entire value, or I guess it's the entire amount of finance, so I guess we go up here. The entire value of the car, we're talking about almost about $3,500 off the entire value of the car. And you paid that in 5 years. So when you give it back to them in 5 years, you've paid $30,000. They made $30,000 off you. If they had a $3,000 car left, and that's what this is here, they would have made nothing. You see how that works? If at that point you give them back the car, they've got your $30,000. If at that rate that's what they've got, then if the end value of the car was only $3,667, they made no money. They did it for free. That is an effective rate of 0. So the question becomes, what is the effective rate? What did you effectively pay in fees and financing if you use these numbers, and it's worth what? So what they use, if I jump back here, is they use a lease end value of $10,729.30. And so I come over here and I say, okay, $10,729. That's somewhere in between these two. And so that works out to about 6.15% effective interest rate. Now, on their page, they actually mention a 7.19. I have no idea where they're getting that 7.19. This is the effective rate that you are paying. Had I, again, how does this work? Again, had I borrowed this much money, or this much money, I suppose, total amount financed, minus that deposit, right? If I had taken out a loan for that amount, with this payment at 6.1% over 5 years, I still would be out of pocket $30,111. I'm still out of pocket the same amount, but if the end value, the value I would have left on the loan would be $10,685. Okay, so that's what this spreadsheet is doing. And if then I sell the car and it's worth exactly that, then that's how much the car was worth. So that's where I'm getting this end value thing. See, I'm saying this a bunch of times because there's a lot of people that have a lot of trouble understanding this process. And so I'm trying to go slow, say it in a bunch of different ways so I can keep as many people with me as possible. Okay? So what that means is that if the end value of the car is somewhere between $10,006 and $10,008, then my effective rate over that term was 6.15, somewhere between 6.1 and 6.2%. And had I financed for that same amount and had that guaranteed buyback at the end for whatever I owed, I would have been at the same place had I leased it. Okay? So the question then becomes, now that I've gone through this process and I've figured out what the effective rate is, or I have the spreadsheet that'll tell me the effective rate given the end value of the car, the question is, what's the end value of the car? So what I've got here, what they've done is, first off, I've priced out, this is a 2022 Camry LE base model, most basic I could get, and at this payment, they've said that the end value of the lease, after a 5-year lease, they're saying this Camry is worth $10,729. Okay, let's check that. Well, now, Rob, you might say, Rob, I can't know what this car is going to be worth in the future. You're right, I can't. But what I can do is I can ask the question today, what is the value of a 5-year-old Camry? Now, that's not going to guarantee to be the same, but at least it gives us some sort of starting point, some sort of idea on where it will probably be 5 years from now. All right, so our goal here is to figure out what is a 2022 Camry going to be worth 5 years from now, 2027. So what I need to do is I'm going to estimate that by looking at what a 2017 Camry is worth today. Now, that's not necessarily, of course, going to be the same, and things could change, but it's not going to change drastically, right? It's not going to be thousands and thousands of dollars different. It'll be different, but it won't be thousands and thousands of dollars different. Now, in my example, what I did is I created a 2022 Camry base model LT, the cheapest I could have possibly made it, right? The base model Camry, the cheapest I could have possibly made it. So first off, let me just jump over to Facebook Marketplace. There's only a few. The biggest I could do is pick a city, and within 500 kilometers, there's only 3. I'm picking a particular year, particular model, right? So there's only 3 in Winnipeg, and you can see 23, 24, 25,000 seems like what they're going for here. Next, let's jump over to Auto Trader. And so in Auto Trader, I was able to find 150 of them. Specifically, I'm looking across the entirety of Canada, and I've priced them low to high. And now Auto Trader, what they'll do is at the beginning, these are not the lowest price. These are promoted links that they're showing first. So let's go down to the first normal one. There it is. See all listings? The lowest price one in all of Canada right now is $17,980. The lowest price 5-year-old Toyota Camry. Okay? And they go up from there. 18 and in fact, Auto Trader thinks that's a great price, right? $1,500 below market value. This one, they're saying 18.4 is a good price. 18.5, 18.9, 18.9, 18.9, 19. And notice I'm not even considering maybe these are busted up. Maybe these are not worthy of driving. Maybe they're not working, right? Like, I'm not even considering that at this point because I'm just trying to get an idea on what value this might be. 18.9, 19.4, 19.4, 19.5. And so you can see as we go up, it's now leveling out. We're now hitting the 20s, and there's so many in the 20s. We've now hitting 21, and in fact, Auto Trader is telling us these are above average. Now, these are also hybrids. Okay? Mine wasn't a hybrid. Mine was just a regular one. But we're getting higher and higher, right? So that's how this works, is that these are sorted by price. And you can see, though, that the lowest one here, again, the lowest one when I start at the actual all listings, the lowest one is $17,980. Let's check one more site. Let's jump over to Kijiji. So here's Kijiji. I've filtered it by within 1,000 kilometers of Winnipeg and sorted price low to high. Here, there's only 23. And you can see that the lowest one, and I think this is, the lowest one starts, where does it actually start? There you go. Promoted, not promoted. So that is the lowest priced one here. $21,156. The lowest priced 2017 Camry within 1,000 kilometers of Winnipeg. Okay? So, wait a minute. Didn't Toyota guess that it would be worth 10? Do you see what they're doing here, guys? When they guess that the Toyota is actually going to be worth 10, what that means is you're actually covering all of that depreciation. But if it's not worth 10 and it's actually worth 23, 24, 25, or actually worth 21, 22, or let's use the smallest price we found here, $17,980. Okay? This is the lowest price one in all of Canada right now. $17,980. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my spreadsheet and find it. $7,980. Almost there. Somewhere between those two ranges. So if my lease at the end of this process, if my car at the end of this process was worth the lowest price 2017 Camry today, well, that would be an effective rate of between 10.7 and 10.8%. Or it's 10.7, 10.75%, somewhere in that range. That if I financed it at 10.7% for those 5 years and sold it back for exactly what I owed, I'd be back to zero. If I look at using some more realistic numbers, because again, that was the absolute lowest one in all of Canada, I didn't even filter by mileage. You can see that these are substantially more than you would have with mileage on a lease takeover. It's $20,000 a year for 5 years. That'd be $100,000, right? If I limit it to that, it changes more. I don't think I'm going to do that right now. But if I go back to and use what, say, within my range of Winnipeg here, what it's actually worth here in Winnipeg, 23, 24, 25, somewhere in that range, or even 21 and 21, 22. So let's use 22 maybe. That seems like a nice number. 22,000. What we're looking at is the effective rate of this lease is somewhere in the range of 12.8, 12.9%. All right, so this is the really interesting thing. The fact that they actually undervalue the car does two things. One, it allows them to say their rate, however they're calculating this, their rate is substantially better than it is. Okay, it's not 7%. This is closer to 10 or 12% because of the underestimation of the value. Because the car is going to be worth so much more than this and your payment is staying the same, because your payment's staying the same, you're still going out of pocket all that, what did we say? Out of pocket $30,111. And if it's not going to depreciation of the car, where else is it going? Fees and profit. Okay? So that's where all this money is going in the end, is to profit. So, one, by underestimating the value, what happens is they're able to get a lower rate, a lower effective rate, and advertise a lower effective rate. The second thing that happens is that's the amount that you would pay if you wanted to buy out the car at that time. And you know what? Odds are really good you're going to do it. Because what happens is the end comes around and, oh, look, we guessed your car would be worth $10,700 and it's actually worth $20,000. So it'd probably be a good idea to buy it, wouldn't it? And yeah, it would. If you're ending a lease right now and you have the option to buy the lease for $10,700 and it's worth $20,000, yeah, of course, you go find that money wherever you can find it and you buy it, because you can then turn around and sell it the next day for $20,000. If that's what it's worth, then that's what you can sell it for. Okay? So the point is that by underestimating the value, they're able to advertise a lower rate, and at the end of the lease, you have way more incentive to buy it. And then they've gotten the best of both worlds. They got all your money up front for the lease with this very high lease rate. If you return the car, they're happy. You gave them $30,000 over 5 years for this $33,000 vehicle, and they've got a $20,000 vehicle now to sell. That's a massive profit. Or you buy the car, in which case they sold the entire car. They don't have to worry about it anymore. Instead of getting you to just lease and then return it, you actually bought the car, and it's done. All right, so what have we learned here today? We've learned that leasing is the most expensive way to operate a vehicle. We've learned that these people who sell them actually know how to make it look like it's a great deal. They underestimate the value of the car at the end in order to have a lower effective rate. But the value of the car is higher, substantially higher. And so what ends up happening is you end up having a very high effective rate. The average that I've heard is somewhere in the range of 12 to 14%. That is it's the most expensive way to operate a vehicle. And so what do we want to do with this? Is the lesson then finance? No! The lesson is to notice that the payments on this lease for 5 years almost equated to the entire cost of the car, guys. Debt is never the way to go. It is never beneficial to go into debt. And it only works when it works. When you lose your job in the middle of a pandemic, because that never happens, right? When you lose your job and all of a sudden you still have those lease payments, what do? There's nothing to do except keep paying the lease payments somehow. And I know a lot of people really struggled during the pandemic when they suddenly didn't have their income anymore. And now we're trying to figure out, how am I going to pay my bills? Okay? CERB only went so far. So the point is, as you're moving forward, we don't want to lease, ever. Leasing is the payday loan of the middle class, as Dave Ramsey says, right? It is the worst way to to buy a car, and the middle class take full advantage of it so often. But we also don't want to finance a car. In fact, I would say don't even buy a used car. Sorry, don't even buy a new car, brand new car, because a brand new car, you take such a massive hit on the depreciation. When your net worth is somewhere in the range of, even negative for many people because of student loans and debt, but if your net worth is very, very low, and you're taking a massive hit in depreciation every single year, like that was the thing with us. When we bought our new van, that was dumb. We bought a 2011 Sienna, and that was dumb. And we bought it brand new. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Because we had no money. We were broke. We were paying minimum payments. We couldn't afford to buy this thing. And what happened was, over the 5 years until we had to renew the loan, because that's how long this thing was, it dropped in value by $15,000. In other words, I threw out the window $3,000 a year. That's outside of insurance. That's outside of gas. It's just in the value of the car, of the van. It's not worth it. When I'm rich, sure, I can afford to throw $3,000 out the window every year and be okay with it. I was not rich, guys. We were not rich. We did not have $3,000 a year to waste on depreciation. Okay? So until Dave Ramsey's guidelines, which I like, are until you get $1 million net worth, don't buy a brand new car. Right? Buy something 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Something a bit older that's already had most of the depreciation kicked out of it. And you have tons of money to work with then that you would have been spending on debt. Okay, so I hope that brings you some great value. Please, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below on what you're thinking or struggles you're having. If you've got a particular lease, I would love to run the actual numbers. If you've got your lease that you'd be willing to share the numbers anonymously, of course. I would love to be able to run it and see what you could have done. It's not a matter of calling you stupid. We've all done stupid. Like Dave Ramsey says, if you've done stupid with money, that makes you over 12, because we all have, right? But the goal is to really see the truth and see that they are not doing you a favor by lowering your payments on a lease. It's not a favor, guys. They're out to make money. Leasing is the best way for them to make money. They make all their money in financing. Okay? So definitely reach out if I can help any. Comment below with any questions you have. And always feel free to shoot me an email, Rob at WePayOffDebt, or a text in my community line, 204-8136-133. And I would love to get back to you and help you in any way I can. Thanks so much. Have a good one. We'll talk to you again. Hey guys, if you're like me and you're a Canadian trying to get control of their money, if you don't have one, the Koho card is an absolute necessity for doing it well in the 2022, right? It's it's an absolute necessity. I signed up for it back in September 2019, and I've used it in various ways since then, and right now it's coming in really, really handy. And what's really cool is if you sign up, you will get $20 cash. So what is this, Rob? This is a prepaid Visa card. You can use it to go through the Visa network, no problem. There's no fees on it, and you load it with e-transfers that literally show up within like that, and it's there, right? You send the e-transfer, and I instantly get a notification on my phone that the e-transfer has arrived. It's 90% of the time that fast. So it's definitely worth it. It gives you some amazing benefits of being able to use a credit card where only credit cards are necessary. And it's not a credit card. It has all the benefits except the debt. So check it out, WePayOffDebt.ca/Koho. And if you sign up today using my referral, you will get $20 cash. Koho is giving $20 to everybody that signs up using this referral. So definitely check it out, WePayOffDebt.ca/Koho.